So let's move on to dear Dr. Chandras Karan Praveen from India, teacher, trainee, cognition and curriculum transaction during COVID-19 compelled online pedagogy.
Respected Chair, participants, at the outset, I would like to thank IKSAD for inviting me to present a paper here. I'm a teacher educator, and this is based on a study which I have conducted in a teacher training college, where, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the students were finding it difficult to attend face-to-face instruction, and so there was a compelled online pedagogy. Now, hope you all know that in an ordinary college means in a college where the teacher transmits knowledge, the students interact. That is a normal thing happening in a college. But in a teacher training college, besides transmission and transaction, we expect transformation of the teacher trainee. So this became very difficult in an online environment. So I'll tell you something about the background of the study, the problem, the rationale for the study, the method applied, the previous studies I had referred to, the strategies to tackle cognitive load that became dominant during the online teaching experience, and the findings, implications, and future research. Okay. Now, when the educational institutions were closed, what happened? The teachers who had no training, prior experience, they were asked to go in for online pedagogy. The teachers had no real experience of teaching online. They used to use educational technology for teaching, but how to teach online they did not know. And what about the teacher trainees? They had no prior experience of learning exclusively through the online mode. So what is the problem here? Teachers, because they need materials, and they started downloading whatever is available on the internet, and they simply emailed it to the participants. Okay, that the students were downloading, and they were getting plenty of material. But what the teacher should have done is they should have adapted the content based on the learning outcome and the tool they are using for transmission. See, they have used email, they have used videos, they have used podcasts, they have used PowerPoint, they have used Word, PDF files. But what content for what tool? This they did not look into. What is available, they simply sent. And the students are finding it difficult. What is the immediate impact? A study by Swella has found out that complexity of learning tasks can lead to cognitive load. So the students were experiencing some kind of a cognitive load, trying to learn everything online, tackling information online. Okay. So what is the method applied? I tried to draw on ideas from technology-based instruction. While trying to teach, I did that. And even I was using technology for teaching for years. I use this for my teaching, but not all teachers. Casual chat with students, I found that they were not adapting it properly. Now, studies have shown that use of minor visual clues always helps in learning online. And a study by Lynch in 2020 makes it very clear: to reduce cognitive load, give information in chunks. Make use of infographics, use an user-friendly interface, and be very concise and clear. This study was done in a place where there was a digital divide. Students did not have internet connections. They couldn't afford data cards and laptops. So I had to think of one simple way of transacting. What did I do? I made use of the WhatsApp for transaction, synchronous and asynchronous mode. Why WhatsApp? It was cheaper. Almost all students had a smartphone, and that was how teaching was done. And for that, I tried to make use of infographics and gave material in small chunks. So you can see here the B.Ed 2020, you can see here that's a batch. Every day I begin with a message. Then a video is given, but before the video is given, which is related to the content to be taught and illustrated, it is emailed to the participants. So it's kind of a flip learning. Here, what happens is only a kind of interaction. Materials were emailed. As you can see, the Gmail here, there's asynchronous mode. And there was something called the English Language Teacher Educators from Kerala Universities. That's the QTEF. We have compiled a lot of materials simplified for student use. So I gave links to them. As you can see, podcast from the BBC was made because it's an English Language Teacher Educator training program. You can see in the synchronous mode while I was teaching, I was making use of infographics. And here what you see is content is given in very small chunks. You can see here, you see little by little. And after everything, I'll ask, shall I proceed? So immediately clarification happens. And what you see, this red flag, is that any important message is typed with a flag to make them realize that this is something they have to learn. So it became meaningful, it reduced cognitive load. Now here, as you can see, this again, I had made use of cartoons for teaching. So it was an interactive work. It was not just one-side lecture. They have to respond to this. And important concept, whenever they gave a response, you see an apple here, that's a good response. So they say, okay, the teacher's appreciating me. So sustaining interest, motivating them was very important. Okay, here again, what you see is on the left, this is material from the Forum magazine. Well written, easy to read. They had to learn something about cooperative learning. I did not simply download any material. I used material which was found to be meaningful. What you see on the right is based on a material which I got when I pursued a course in blended learning. This was one of the topics was blended learning, which I had to teach, and I played this particular illustrative video where this is from the course, and I used this for teaching. So I did not blindly take any material available from the internet. I checked this usefulness, related it with the learning outcome, and only then I did. So it was possible for me to reduce cognitive load. Now these are the findings of the study. Technology-based learning can be effective only if the digital tool matches the content. That is very important. And another thing, the millennial generation, my students are the millennial generation, they need collaboration for learning. And I had to think of ways. Long video lectures, that was what most teachers were doing. They were just recorded it and then not at all interesting, and it was sometimes boring. And what are the implications of my study? Well, identify learning preferences. That's the first thing that the teacher has to do when you are teaching online. Because learners could be auditory learners, there could be visual learners, there could be kinesthetic learners, and very importantly, you have to present information in small chunks. The question when I ask the students, are you finding the learning interesting? They may say, see, we cannot bear it. It's so difficult to grasp. So consciously, I had to use all the strategies. Chunking, small content in easy steps. Okay. So what is the future research you can undertake? You must look at technology, emotion, and cognition. There's a relationship between all these. And then come up with material, conduct a study, find usefulness, and then refine pedagogy. That is what I would like to suggest. Okay. So these are some of the references, not all the references. There are many other references in my paper. In fact, even the findings, I have not mentioned everything, only very few things. So that is it. Thank you. If you have any clarifications, you can ask. I'm stopping my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear doctor.